The converted man here. I'm calling all theists to accept this challenge. And also Craig Reed TCR, because this is his fault that I'm doing this video. So, let me lay out the challenge for all those pesky unbelievers out there. And I'm talking to the theists. I know the atheists and skeptics, they'll do this. No problem. They wouldn't have any problem doing this. Although none of them has done it, but I'm pretty sure they would do it. Although I have asked and they haven't done it, but they will. They totally will. Anyway, all right. It's a very simple challenge. And the question is, why are people so resistant to doing this? Why don't people want to do this? I don't have the answer. Okay, but the challenge is fairly simple. You got to get underwear that have hearts on them. That's first and foremost. You go outside in front of wherever you live. You dance the I'm a Little Teapot dance, which I've referenced a couple different links to. As you're dancing that dance, you also have to spin around counterclockwise. And the important part is, of course, you have to film this, and you have to send that video to me. And I'm going to, of course, post it on YouTube. Now, after you do all that, you will live as long as you want to live. However long that is. A year, 1,000 years, 10,000, whatever it is. Oops. There goes a whole bunch of stuff I knocked over. I blame Craig Reed for that. You will live for however long you want in perfect health. And what's more, you cannot get hurt or injured at all. It's going to be an amazing, superpower. I don't know exactly how it works because I can't film myself and send it to myself. It doesn't work that way. You have to do it. It doesn't work on me, sadly. But I just know that it will work. And you just have to trust me that it's totally going to work. And I got to say, why are you so resistant to it? Why won't you do it? It's like, would you not want to live forever long in perfect health? Or you have something against that? I don't know. I don't get it. So, why bring up this challenge? Well, because nobody's going to do it. Why? Why are they not going to do it? What is wrong with them? It must be something wrong with them. They must want to not live that long, and or they want to live a while, but they don't want to know how long they'll live, and they don't mind being sick or getting hurt sometimes. Why? Why are they so resistant to believing that this will work? All right, so here's Craig Reed responding to a video, and now I'm responding to his video, responding to that video, and he will not make a video responding to my video. That's my prediction. All right, so basically they're talking about the hiddenness of God. So we'll listen in a bit, and then I'll stop and complain about it.
If there were, you can put it quite formally, as Schellenberg famously did, in saying that if there is a God who exists who's perfectly loving, then non-resistant non-belief would not occur.
What can you just, for those who haven't come across Schellenberg's version of it, what does this non-resistant bit mean?
It's an important distinction. Of course, there are non-believers who could be described as resistant to belief in God for various reasons. Maybe your anti-theists who say, well, I don't think it's true, but I don't want it to be true.
I've never met a single person that has ever said that they don't want it to be true. Skeptics don't talk that way. I don't know. Maybe an atheist might. I doubt it, though. I very, very highly doubt that there's anyone that said that. Maybe they said it as something, to be said bitterly or something like. I don't know. Maybe you're taking Hitchens out of context, perhaps. But yeah, this isn't. It doesn't matter what I want. That's irrelevant. What I want or don't want doesn't matter. All I want to know is what's true, and that's seems to be the case for every skeptic and atheist that I've encountered. You can't even think of any exception to that. They want the truth, and theists do too, or at least they tell me they want the truth. So this is just poisoning the well or something. You know, it's like, oh, there's somebody that says this. Like, yeah, well, could you're resistant to stopping believing in God because, you know, whatever reason. I mean, it's just so bad. Anyways, yeah, but nobody really says that, I don't think. So I'm just calling bull on that.
Or people who we all know that some people in approaching certain topics will almost subconsciously but somehow willingly, if they don't want something to be true, blind themselves to particular kinds of evidence. This is something you
See,
Well, yeah, I mean, if you don't want something to be true, or if you do want something to be true, you can do what's called confirmation bias, where you look for the things that will confirm it and you ignore the things that don't, that disconfirm it. You pay attention only to the hits, you ignore the misses, deliberately so. And I've seen this very common among apologists. But this is night and day. You're talking about something that is completely untestable and unverifiable in every single methodology that we have at our disposal. The only thing that the theist has is argument. That's it. That's all you've got to offer. And every religion has that. And your arguments are no better than theirs, really. And that's what we've been trying to tell you, like, forever, you know? So let's hear what Craig has to say.
now this is where it starts. Okay, this is where the good part starts. That was a really perceptive, honest statement that you don't necessarily hear often coming out of the mouths of an atheist. There are obviously some people who are resistant to the idea of God. Now
It's not even the idea of God, man. You can be resistant to all sorts of ideas. It's not even ideas per se. It's just facts of reality. Forget ideas. I mean, you know, there's this creationist road trip where this guy takes these people along to see different things and whatever. And like, I remember this one part of it where like he shows them, like, he pours some water on the ground to like show them an example of how water like will run off of stuff. And like one of them's like, well, that's your water. It's like, it's not his water. It's coming out of, what are you talking about? Like that could like, oh, well, you know, you're doing something with that water to make it do what you want it to do. And that's going to, you know, to prove that your point is valid. And I don't want your point to be valid. So I'm going to say it's your water. So it doesn't count. Right. It's just so nonsensical. Right. But people do this. And I've said that. I've said of atheists, yeah, that we're not immune to this. We're not immune to believing in things that we shouldn't, or not believing in things that we should. That's why you need empirical evidence, repeatable tests. That's why you need data. That's why you don't need bad argumentation or faith, is because those things aren't going to lead you to whatever the truth is.
might even self-report as non-resistant. That's the problem. The analogy I used in one of my past videos is the mom who doesn't want to admit that a kid is smoking weed. She might even find weed in his pocket while she's going, and you know, somehow we all know people in alcoholics land. They call it denial. What's the biggest river in Egypt? Denial. Denial is the biggest. You know, we all know people who, for whatever reason, studiously avoid dealing with the obvious because they don't want to acknowledge it.
I mean, yeah, I'll grant that, and vice versa. I mean, you're confronted with the overwhelming non-evidence of a thing, yet you continue to believe in it for whatever reason. And maybe that's just how your brain works. I don't know, but you know, it's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Without ever asking anything about, okay, so on imagination, without ever asking anything about their position. Well, to be fair, to some degree, I have talked to Craig in the past, so he has, and he's aware of what atheists will say, some to an extent. But it's weird because even though he's aware of it, he still makes videos like this. I don't know. It's just really baffling to me. Yeah. Anyways,
So in order for the Schellenberg version of the argument to hold merit, there has to be people who we know for a fact. That's the part that the argument has to account for, that we know for a fact. 'Cause there are people who are less resistant. You know, there are the debunk, dismiss, discredit atheists, who I call the debate me bros, and all they do is try and jerk your chain whenever you're in a conversation about religion. But then there are the honest actor atheists. And of the honest actor atheists, I could easily categorize them. A lot of them would self-report as non-resistant.
Again, and this whole non-resistant stuff, I think this is just a big giant smoke screen. You know, I honestly, I mean, I could say the same about theists. So there's some theists that just want to debate or whatever. And I mean, I literally just had somebody say, the Bible is historical, and that means it's true. Challenge me on it. I mean, what do you say to that, right? And this other guy who just doesn't get it, right? He's sitting there saying, he keeps talking about the Bible this, the Bible that. And so I just bring up the lobsterist because that's my rebuttal to that sort of talk. He's like, you're not adding anything to the conversation. He doesn't understand what I'm doing. That's the thing. It's like, you haven't even read the lobsterist. Why? What? How dare you question it? And he's like, what are you doing? What are you talking about? Like, yeah, that's the point. You don't know what I'm talking about because you haven't read it. You haven't looked at it. You haven't seen what it says. It's on my profile. It's available for you to read, but you're not reading it. How dare you? You know, and I'm just doing this like precept on him because he doesn't, you know. But anyway, so those comments, like, I get that sort of stuff all the time. It's like they're not using reason or logic to get to the conclusion. And with that other guy that said the Bible is true because it's historical, that's of course this video did the Noah's flood really happen? No, the flood did not happen worldwide. It's just not possible. It's impossible. Everything that we know about everything says no, it couldn't have happened. Our world would not exist if it had. Everything would be dead. We wouldn't be here. Also, I think the planet would like explode or implode. I don't know, something horrible, terrible that happened with that much water. It's just, and then like how the water leaves. It's just all complete nonsense. And it's been shown to be nonsense many times. But if you want to believe, you can just put your head in the sand and believe. But there's a night and day difference between that and the atheists, because we're just like, look, your God is hidden. I mean, why would you even be saying? You have to admit that God is hidden. You call it divine hiddenness. You say the hiddenness of God. Clearly, you admit that it is hidden, and then you have to explain why it's hidden, right? And in stumbling to try to do that, you produce nothing but logical fallacies for me to pick out, which is great, but you know, great for me, not good for you. So, what was I saying? I don't know if that went off topic, but that's okay.
Was trying to jerk your chain whenever you're in a conversation about
right. You're saying honest versus dishonest and all that. Yeah, whatever. Oh yeah, the whole, you know, self-reporting of what was
religion. It? But then there are the honest actor atheists. And of the honest actor atheists, I could easily categorize them. A lot of them would self-report as non-resistant.
Oh yeah, non-resistant. So Craig, why are you so non-resistant? Why are you so resistant to this idea that I've proposed about singing the "I'm a Little Teapot" song? Why are you and others? Why hasn't anyone done this yet? I've offered this challenge many times on my channel. I've said, look, I've told atheists this, I've told skeptics this, I've told theists this. I'm like, why won't you try it? Nobody's tried it. Nobody's even attempted it. Why not? Answer the question. I want somebody actually to answer the question. And it's interesting that the theists will not answer that question. It's very interesting to me. I wrote it, of course, in the comment section. And here it is. See? It's like, you know, he doesn't respond hardly to my questions anymore. Just whatever. I don't know. Starting to wonder why I still subscribe. I don't know. I don't know. I can't quit on Craig. I mean, he's a nice guy. I just, you know, I get irritated when people don't pay attention to me. I don't know, because I'm, you know, I got a big ego. I don't know. Anyway, so he's, you know, why are you so resistant to that idea? You know, why are you so resistant, right? And that's the point. Like, yeah, you are resistant to that idea. Why? Well, there's a reason for that. And once you answer the reason that you're resistant to that idea, you'll now know why I'm resistant to the idea that you're proposing in God. It's pretty much the same answer. I'm almost sure. I mean, you could now tailor it to be something warped, but if you're honest with the answer, which I think you would be, Craig, why would you not do this? Because you won't go out and dance around like that. You won't film it. You won't send that to me, and you just will not do it. Why? Well, you know why. I'm not going to tell you why. You got to tell me why. Anyways,
therein lies the irony, because he is going to tell him. The irony is the less inclined you are, the more you acknowledge your resistance, the more likely you are non-resistant. If you say I'm not non-resistant, then you can't see where your resistance is. From my experience with everybody, atheist, Christian, Jew, miscellaneous, everybody is resistant to God to some degree or another.
I don't even know what that means. Like, what do you mean This is why I'm making this video. It's like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Like, resistant to God? What do you mean by God? What do you think? I know that Craig happens to be a Christian, so I know that his version of God. But it's like, what are you talking about? You know? But why are you so resistant to this idea of the teapot dance? Why are you so resistant to the idea? I could substitute that with, UFOs, aliens, leprechauns. Of course I did that in the comments. I was like, I said things that are hidden, UFOs, blah, 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 all that stuff, right? And I said, of course, not the God of the lobsters. That's the real run, right? And of course, complain about why you would have to have faith rather than facts. I'd rather have facts, but yeah. Why are you so resistant to this idea? Yeah, everybody's resistant. Everybody in the entire world is resistant to this idea of singing "I'm a Little Teapot." Why? Why are they so resistant? I wonder. Answer the question. You'll know the answer to your question.
Everybody, and I believe that there are atheists who are a lot more non-resistant than other atheists, for sure. Answers from Reason Crew are the least resistant.
I don't know, man. It's weird how he's got these tiers of different things. Like you're most resistant, you're least resistant. Like, how about I don't know, develop how would you figure that out? Like, how would you sort that? Would you what would that look like? I don't know. Anyways, yeah. I also said, why can't you just believe the lobsteress is true? Yeah, I mean, why can't you just believe what I say? Why do you have to be so resistant to it?
There was this guy, Brett, who Pleasure of Doubt. Brett, if you're listening, where'd you go? He disappeared from Twitter and YouTube. He now kind of runs the John Vervaeke. What's that stupid app called? Discord. He runs the John Vervaeke, and since he's been doing that, he sort of disappeared off of Twitter. He was very non-resistant. Now, I did a thing with him where I was going to try and give him religious rituals. He was the most non-resistant.
Hey, Craig, I'm still waiting for you to produce that thing that you had mentioned some years ago. Craig, for those of you who don't know, years ago, he had said that he was going to come up with a way to know what sort of church you should go to based on your personality. He'd have some, I don't know, some methodology that he was going to figure out that he'd been working on. And this of course is years ago, so where is it? What happened to that idea? I don't know. I've asked him about it. He remains absolutely silent about it. He's yeah. But the idea was going to be he'd figure out your personality type. He'd figure out a church in your area or near you or something that you should go to, that then if you went to that church, you would totally experience God for sure. And then if you didn't, then you were justified in being an atheist or whatever. I'm like, dude, I'm already justified in being an atheist. It's a complete waste of time. What are you talking about? I don't even, but I said, you know, you're not going to do this. I said, I absolutely know that you're never going to do this. It's not going to happen. You're not going to invent this. It's not going to happen. And, well, years later, still hasn't happened, not going to happen. And now he doesn't even want to talk about it. Like, well, what happened to the idea? Just admit, hey, look, yeah, that was an idea I had some years ago, and I can't figure out how to do it. I was wrong. No, nothing. Just don't answer. Okay. Yeah. You know. Yeah, and there was some other thing, and I can't remember, but like somebody had mentioned something he'd said on Twitter years ago too that he didn't do. But nah, I can't remember that, so it doesn't matter. Whatever. The point is, what was the point? Like, hey, look, you know, where's the test? Where is it? You know, what was it? Oh, right, and it's non-resistant. Like, why should I bother with the religious ritual? Why? Like, who cares? Like, it's not going to do anything for me. I don't care. Like, have you done all the rituals from every other religion? Have you put out a mat and face the correct way to Mecca to pray at a certain time of day? Have you like done Wiccan spell casting? No, of course not. Why not? Why would you bother? Why would you bother? Have you tried for like, I don't know, let's say a month? Go a month without praying or going to church or talking or thinking about God. Like, have you tried that? No. Why? Like, you're not going to do the teapot dance, right? Why not? Why haven't you tried that? It's so silly. It's like when you realize the answer to those questions, when you answer those questions of why you won't do X, Y, and Z, you will have your answer for why I do not do those things and why others do not do those things. You have no reason to do them. And so, oh, you're resistant because you won't try it. Why would I? Why should I? You got to prove that there's a thing there. It's like, oh, you're missing on this experience. I don't care. I've also had the experience. I know exactly what it is. It's me. It's my own brain. That's it. Ugh.
Resistance I had ever found outside of the Answers for Reason crew. And this is a very instructive point because I did a thing where I was like, I put out a challenge to atheists. You know, I could give you a series of rituals and things to read over a course of 5 or 6 months, and I bet you $1,000 you come to some sort of belief in God.
Hey, yeah. Hey, there's that thing that I was kind of mentioning, although it was different. It was structured differently way back when. All right, Craig, what things and rituals? Here's the thing. He wants to bet $1,000. All right, I got $1,000 I can bet you. Let's see you draw up that contract, though, Craig, because I don't think that you will. You will not draw up the contract. I'm going to write right now. I will take up that $1,000 challenge. You will not make a contract regarding. You will not go through with it. You will find some loophole. It's not going to happen. That is my prediction. Let's see. I'm willing to accept. Here we go. I wrote this comment in the video I'm doing. Oh my God. About this video live. And so now it's there as I write. Whatever. Email me. Yeah. No, he's not going to do it. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen, Craig. I'm sorry. I'm just going to call you out on this. You what books, what rituals, it's going to make you believe in God. No, it won't. I just like, oh, well, but then what are you going to say? What's your excuse to be? Well, you were just resistant, right? That's what I'm saying. He won't write out an actual contract. He'll want it to be like vague wording. He won't want it to be nailed down. And I will absolutely accept this. I'll be like, look, $1,000 on the line. I pay up if I lose. You pay up if you lose. Let's do it. What does that look like? and it's got to be a contract too, because I won't do it if it's not an actual official contract. And yeah, I will go to the trouble of getting it notarized, making an actual contract. I will like do it. If he can't do it, which he won't, if he can't do it on his side, I'll figure it out. I'll be like, here, look, I went, here's the contract. Here's what it looks like. Let's agree to it. Right? He won't do it. Absolutely not, because he doesn't want to be tested out on these ideas. He likes to just say stuff, and then like the moment you're like, all right, I'll take you up on that offer. Not gonna do it. You're not gonna give me $1,000. I'm not gonna see it. It's not gonna happen, right, Craig? The thing is, like, I like you, but I just call him BS on this. It's not gonna happen. That's my prediction. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong.
Now, he's the only one who took me up on that, because he was non-resistant enough to take me up on that. But the first part of that was me asking him a lot of questions. Okay, this is very illuminating. Why was I asking him a lot of questions? Because he was the least evangelical, most non-resistant atheist I ever met. But I was asking him a lot of questions. I had a series of things that I wanted to dig into because I wanted to find out where his resistance actually was. Wasn't that obvious? It was the least resistant atheist I'd come across, but I was sure there was some there that I was going to find.
You were sure there was something there that you were going to find, but you were wrong about that because you didn't find it, right? The thing is, he knows that if he went over this with me, that it won't work. Yeah, I absolutely, Craig already knows that he wouldn't even try with me. He because he's going like, here's all these questions. I'm gonna come find your weakness to exploit it. It sounds like you're trying to scam somebody, right? Like, I'm gonna ask you questions, figure out where you're most vulnerable. Like, why don't you believe? Maybe it's, oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna find that. Oh, okay, that's the thing that I need. Oh, okay, there's the weakness. I'll pounce on it. With me, Craig knows it's a losing game because I need empirical evidence to repeatable test, and I won't find that in any book. I will not find that in any ritual. I will not find that in any experience. And so he can give me all those things. I'll read them. I'll do it. I'll prove that I've done it to his satisfaction. And I'll be like, yeah, I still don't believe in God because it's not what I needed. And he knows that. So his whole little challenge is set up so that it's a non-challenge. It's not a real challenge, Craig. And come on, man. Just come on. Enough already. Or would you take my challenge? Like, don't do anything for a year? No, come on.
And if the experiment was to be successful, if I was going to lead him to faith after a series of months, I had to figure out where that resistance was. Does that make sense? Yes, it does. See what I'm saying? So there are degrees of resistance for sure. There's the debate me, bro, in your face. You can't even speak a word about God without them trying to debunk, dismiss, discredit you. And then there's the reasonable atheist, the Answers from Reason crew. Reasonable except for Dave Rollins. he's not reasonable, but the rest of them are reasonable, and they are non-resistant up to a point. But I'm sure if I dug in and asked them questions, questions that were designed to uncover their resistance, I'd uncover resistance. A lot of Christians are resistant.
Oh my God. Yeah, like if you dig hard enough, like, oh, I found the thing you're resistant on. Aha. Here's the whole problem right here. Yeah, and then there's nothing you can do because it's like, look, it's a standard of evidence. That's it. That's not resistant, man. That's just what I require. It's just like I require that for everything. It's just like, why won't you do the dance of the teapot? You can say what's your answer to that? Yeah, well, we'll just see. We'll see. But you know what? Yeah.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah. Hello.
Okay.
Hello. Yeah.
See on both sides of the debate. So some people like resist, right? And so if I was just like, look, I'm not going to read that nonsense. I'm not going to read the gospel. I'm not going to engage in the debate. But all of this religious stuff is ridiculous. Somebody would probably have a right to say to me, look, you're obviously not seeking properly. But
yeah, and that used to be the standard operating procedure of the new atheists. This is all ridiculous. We don't have to take this seriously at all. We don't have to seek. Why? Because it's all junk.
Well, yeah. I mean, it is. So who cares? I mean, it is. I mean, have you sought Scientology? Have you looked into it? Have you studied it? Have you tried it? Why not? Same argument, man. Same argument.
It's all nonsense. Okay, well, you ain't gonna find.
Non-resistant non-believer is the person who has no objection to entering into a relationship with God, and in fact desires it. And this would be someone like myself, I think.
As far, see, that's the key. As far as we know, no objection, and as far as they are self-reporting, no objection. But I'm almost positive I would find some objections if I sat down with them and really, really dug in. Now, they are non-resistant as compared to other atheists. But here's where this conversation starts to get really interesting, because I'm going to really focus on Cosmic Skeptic, because this is possibly the most honest read I've ever seen from an atheist. And I'm only going to do an hour today, but I may come back to this because this is, like I said, this is a really good conversation.
Look, if it's there, I'm here for it. I really am. I'm open to it. That is, I'm non-resistant to this belief in God. And so the reason we add that non-resistant clause is to say that is to prevent somebody from saying, well, maybe you're just sort of hardening your heart.
No, I'm gonna call BS on all this. The whole point of all this non-resistant BS, and it is what it is to find a way to justify the fact that people don't believe. It's like, oh, you don't believe what I believe? Well, that's just because you want to sin. That's just because you weren't. I was just told this earlier today. It's like, oh, you weren't really. What was it? How did they put it? Let's see. Man, I'm trying to remember. I don't remember now, but they were like, oh, you weren't really a sincere believer or whatever. I've heard that, read it a million times, whatever. It's the same thing. It's like, oh, here's the real reason why you don't believe what I believe. Because I can't accept that there's no evidence. Of course there's evidence. Look at all this. Look at the trees, blah, 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 right? And it's just rationalization made up to justify their unbelief in your own brain. Like, I can't accept that they don't believe, so I'm going to have to make up a reason why they don't believe. Oh, they're just resistant. All right, why don't you do the little teapot thing? That's the challenge. When will you take me up on it? Wonder why.
The other thing to keep in mind about non-resistance, there are other people who are very non-resistant. Philip Goff, who has a thing called the secular Christian. He may even call himself a Christian that doesn't believe in the metaphysics or the ontology. It wouldn't surprise me if those guys become believers. The people who are truly non-resistant. John Vervaeke.
Well, yeah, if you lower the standards enough in your reasons to believe something, yeah, you might start believing in something. Isn't this what William Lane Craig did a while ago? He's like, hey, just lower your standards. So Craig's like, hey, yeah, if you just, if you open yourself up more and more, and like you just start accepting more things, then you'll believe. Yeah. That's what cult leaders do. That's how religion works. It's just like, it's the same thing. You can't see it. It's so weird. I could say the same thing about every other religion that isn't yours and be like, why are you so resistant to it? Have you tried, eating only kosher and praying in Hebrew and offering sacrifices as prescribed by the Torah? No, you haven't done that? Oh, why not? You haven't prayed to Zeus lately? I mean, why not? Come on, man.
I pointed out, very non-resistant. Streams with Christians, always says positive things about Christianity. Alex.
See, now this is basically like, oh, you don't say things that are nice about Christianity. Oh, what was me? Oh, come on, man. Just whatever.
This Cosmic Skeptic guy, I keep calling him Alex. His name actually Alex, I forget. The Cosmic Skeptic right here is going to show himself to be very non-resistant. But in the process, also show me like our work with this person is done. We have done the apologist job. We've presented a version of the gospel that is the most palatable it can be to someone who is as non-resistant as they can be. That's their job.
All right. This is actually kind of a weird point, but okay, sure. I have to bring it up because I can never say. There's these people that this guy, he went to contact the Piana people and bring the gospel to him, like he was a missionary. And what happened was he learned their language. He like presented to them. He recorded biblical stories in their language, and they just would laugh. They were like, "This is ridiculous. Why are you telling us this? We don't care about this." The story was not universal. He thought the story was universal. It wasn't. The way they think about time is completely different than ours. The way that we think about, like they are the most imperial sort of skeptical thinkers. Like it's like they have words for, did you see it personally? Did you know somebody that saw it? Or some other category. But like they had it's like, if you haven't seen it yourself or heard about it from somebody else, then forget it, and you don't even waste time talking about it, you know. And they kind of like lived in the moment. They didn't, the past was done, you know, the future, you know, they had some plans for the future, but yeah, I mean, the hunter gatherers. But he deconverted and he realized, this message is not universal, you know. All right, Piana people, I can never pronounce it. Yeah, I mean, I'll have to find it, put it up in the description, but yeah.
I don't expect people to become completely non-resistant. I expect them to really be honest with where they're at. And if they have resistance, be honest about why. And it's up to us, the apologists in defense of the faith, to present to them the most palatable version of the gospel, the most easy to digest version of the gospel we can present. Even Paul said it. He said, I give you milk because you aren't ready for solid food, but it's, you know, and then take it from there. I think wouldn't surprise me if Phil God becomes a Christian. Wouldn't surprise me if John Vervaeke becomes a theist. Wouldn't surprise me if a lot of these really, truly non-resistant people become theists, because that tends to be what happens if you're actually non-resistant.
Yeah, I mean, if you lower the standards low enough, you can believe in stuff. That's just what happens. And I mean, if you, I could flip the script and like, oh, if you stop being so resistant to the idea that you're wrong and, you know, you should be more skeptical, then you could be a skeptic or something. I wouldn't, because it doesn't make sense to do it that way. But I mean, you could flip the script on it. It doesn't make any sense. Oh man, why is that a good thing? Like so what we got to do is make sure that people have empirical methodologies such that they will not ever give in to woo beliefs like religion. That's what we have to do. So we got to get more skepticism out there. We got to get more critical thinking out there. At least we lose some important non-theist voices out there. Sounds like our work is cut out for us still. All right. Thanks for letting me know about that, though, Craig. I'll be letting these guys know you're sliding down the path. Be careful. Be more skeptical.
Or something like this. With as long as there is a single example, just one, of a truly non-resistant non-believer, then it seems that the theist needs to explain why it is that God would hide his face from them, or at least give us plausible reason to think that there could be such a reason.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a really helpful way into the argument. So yeah, and I think we meet this in a kind of non-philosophical.
Yes, that was a helpful way into the argument. It was really, really well said.
Form quite a lot,
Yeah.
don't we, Luke? Because it's, you know, people saying, well, I haven't, you know, I'm open to God, but
Yeah.
God hasn't shown up in my life. So,
Yeah.
so, you know, surely it's down to God in the end. And if God's there, then God will know what to do to make me believe, and that kind of thing. So yeah, where do you start with this one?
Yeah, definitely. And I would also add, I think it's something that even the Christian or the believer can relate to, in the sense that they will experience, you know, periods or times where they feel like, well, where is God? You know, I can.
Such a great point. That's such a great point that he went there. And why this conversation is so good is that a lot of Christians wouldn't go there. You know, Alex, I keep calling him Alex. His name actually Alex Cosmic. His name Alex. I think that might actually be his name, but Cosmic Skeptic. Yeah, I guess it's Alex O'Connor. It sounds right, but I'm unwilling to commit to that. I think it's Alex O'Connor. It seems right. But the Cosmic Skeptic dropped his guard and gets honest, and so does our friend here. So this turns into a really honest conversation that can't be had between a lot of theists and atheists. Why? Because as soon as you drop your guard, the one on the other guy in the other squad's gonna, you know, try to score fake points.
Oh man, it's not about scoring points. I don't know where you get these ideas from. I don't know. You're so worried about losing. The thing is, you have everything to gain, nothing to lose. If you believe in reality, you can never deconvert from that. You can't lose reality because it's always there. You can't stop believing in reality because reality is like there no matter what. You don't even have to believe in reality. That's the amazing thing about it. That's what's so powerful about being a skeptic, is there is no idea that you're worried about losing, because that's like the whole point. The whole point is you want to know what's real. You don't want to hang on to ideas that are wrong. You want to be shown that you're wrong. You want to learn that you're wrong. You want to learn some new stuff. The way that reality really is like way cooler. You know, and I learn here and there new stuff, like not as much as I want, but a lot, you know. And you when you have the facts, whatever those facts are, and there might not be that many, but you have a few of them. You go, okay, I can know this. I can know that this is a thing. This is a thing. Here's a thing. Maybe we're not sure about that, but that's okay. I've learned to live with the uncertainty. We've learned to live with the mystery and the wonder of the real world. And it's like, oh, here comes this idea. Oh, it's going to question your faith. Let your faith go then. If you're struggling with it, let it go. Why try to? Why do the struggle? Why? What benefit does it have? Right, exactly. So maybe you shouldn't struggle. Maybe you should give up on it, and you might actually find something way better on the other side. You got to try though. You guys just got to try. Okay, I found the thing I was trying to find. So it's Daniel Everett, and it's I can't pronounce it. I'll just show it on the screen. Then I'm done with this because there's nothing more to say. Here's the one video he has. He's got a lot of stuff about there. But yeah, it's the losing religion to the Pirania. I don't know. How do you say that? Pirana? No, that's not it. Piraha tribe. Whatever. Yeah. And yeah, so I mean, links in the description. Waiting for any theist to take me up on my challenge to dance the teapot dance. I accept Craig's $1,000 bet challenge. Whatever, it's not going to happen. Not going to go through with it because I'm a resistant believer, so it wouldn't work on me. He knows that, so he's not going to try. Why would he? He knows that he doesn't have the things that I need, which are empirical evidence, repeatable tests, valid and sound argument. He doesn't have any of those three things, so he's not even going to try. That's my prediction. Hope that Craig proves me wrong. And if you're listening to this video and you're a skeptic or an atheist, hey, go over to Craig's channel and say, hey, I accept your $1,000 challenge, and see what he does. Let's just flood his video over there. Links in the description. With saying, yeah, I'll accept your $1,000 challenge. Absolutely. And it's like, oh, I've got all these questions to ask you so I can find the thing where you're vulnerable. And then like you go through whatever the questions are and be like, oh, I found that I realized that you're not somebody I can fool into believing. So I'm not going to go through with the challenge, because the real challenge is actually, can I convert you? That's the real challenge. It's not, oh, I'm going to put, I'm going to do this thing. And if you pass, then whatever. There's no fail condition for this non-challenge. That's my prediction, but I need many of you to help me out to prove my point. All right, thanks for watching. Do whatever, post stuff, comment. See you around. Thanks for watching. Now, lobsters.